We're going to learn Pirkei Avos, Perek Aleph, Mishna Yud Bet. Avtalion Omer, Chachamim. So his instruction is directed specifically at the sages. Chachamim, Hizaharu b'divrechem. Be very careful with your words. Shama techuvu chovat galus, lest you'll become incur the penalty of exile. V'tiglu l'makom mayim haroim, and you'll go to a place of evil waters. V'yishtu hatalmidim habam achareichem v'yamusu, and the students who come after you, who follow you, will drink those evil waters and they'll die. V'nimtza shem shamayim mitchalel, and this will be a desecration of the name of Hashem. It's a little bit hard to follow the exact sequence of what the Mishnah is concerned with happening here, but it seems like the Chachamim, the thing that's clear is the instruction for Chachamim to be very careful with their language. And it's important for Chachamim to realize that it's not only the wisdom that they share, but the language that they use to share it and how they choose to articulate it, which could make all the difference in the end, definitely will lead in the end to Chilul Shem Shamayim. What happens in between is a little bit harder to follow, but it seems like we're worried that the Chachamim or the Jewish people in general will be exiled. And in that place, there'll be evil waters, and the students will be drinking those evil waters, which seem to be pre-existing. And somehow the uncareful use or the careless use of language will cause this problem. What it seems to me is that what's happening is that we're all coming to exile. If you're not in exile, if you're not exiled to a place of bad waters, and Chachamim are teaching in a very safe environment, so maybe it's less important how careful they are with their language, because if someone might get the wrong impression from this Chacham, he will hopefully get the right impression from someone else, because everyone in the surrounding environment is nurturing these students with good values. But what happens when there's exile and we find ourselves amongst many different ideas and ideologies and opinions, and then it's just the voice of these few Chachamim that can educate their students, which may be counter to the culture that exists around them. And therefore, it's in that case that it's even more important for the Chachamim to be very careful with their language and to teach not only the right ideas, but in the right ways, with sensitivity and precision in their language. Because otherwise, the students won't learn their messages, and in place will imbibe the poisonous waters or the dirty water that's there, and they will become sickened by that water, and ultimately this will create a Chilul Hashem, because we missed our opportunity to properly convey the values and morals of the Torah. The next Mishnah is taught by Hillel v'Shammai, or introduces Hillel and Shammai, who were students of Shmai of Avtalion. And it begins, Hillel v'Shammai kiblu mehem. Hillel Omer, havi talmidav shel Aharon. A person should strive to be a student of Aharon, to learn the lessons of Aharon, which is Ohev Shalom v'Rodev Shalom, to love peace and pursue peace. There's usually the Mishnah and Pirkei Avos have three teachings. Here there's sort of two. Each one is doubled, which is like four. It seems like. Ohev Shalom v'Rodev Shalom, be a lover of peace and a pursuer of peace. Like the Midrash says that Aaron would always make peace between people. He would tell one person, the other person wants to make up with you, and he would pursue peace by going out of his way to go and help people come together in peace. In contrast to Moshe, who was more of a person of judgment and justice, who would judge and decide who was right and who was wrong, Aaron would pursue the concept of compromise and peace amongst people. Ohev abrios, love people, umekarvan la Torah, and bring them close to Torah. I think it's significant. I think that in this Mishnah, there's sort of a sequence where primarily the first thing a person has to do is bring peace amongst people. The second thing is to love all people. And following that is Mekarvan Torah, that it's first and foremost to love the person and then try to inspire them to come closer to Torah. If a person tries to bring people close to Torah but doesn't have a love for those people, then it's not likely to be effective. If first there's a genuine love for people, and rooted in that love for them is the desire to inspire them towards religious growth and closeness to Torah, then there's a much greater possibility of being successful of Mekarvan Torah. And Oivas Abrios could mean, first of all, the feeling of love for people, but also helping people, providing social services for communities that lack them, providing support, chesed, in all different ways towards people, not as a hook to just get them into the shul and then you start teaching them, but as a genuine expression of love for people and love and in concern for their well-being. That should be number one in general, and rooted in that is the desire to also help them grow and enrich their lives by closeness to Torah. This is the path of Aaron HaKohen.